Prepare for chills and thrills as we delve into the Frost Maw, a Minnesota nightmare. The Frost Maw, a Minnesota nightmare. In the small town of Icefall, Minnesota, winters were a way of life brutal, unrelenting, and cloaked in snow that could bury a house overnight. The locals were hardy, accustomed to the howl of blizzards and the bite of sub-zero winds. But there was one rule they all followed, whispered from generation to generation: never fish alone on the lake during a storm. They didn't talk much about why, just vague warnings of something under the ice. That something was the Frost Maw, a legend most dismissed as a tall tale to keep kids in line. Most, but not all. Lena Harwood learned the truth the hard way. She was 32, a single mother with a stubborn streak and a love for the solitude of ice fishing. Her brother Jonas was her opposite, loud, brash, and always up for a challenge. On January 15, 2022, with a blizzard brewing on the horizon, Jonas bet Lena $50 she wouldn't join him for a late-night fishing trip on Lake Kennebec. "The perch bite best when the storm hits," he'd said, grinning over a beer at the local dive bar. Lena rolled her eyes but couldn't resist the dare. She bundled up her gear rods, bait, a thermos of coffee, and they headed out, leaving her daughter Mia with a neighbor. The lake was a frozen slab under a sky turning gray with menace. They trudged a quarter-mile out, the wind already kicking up swirls of snow, and set up their spot: 2 folding chairs, a propane heater, and a hole drilled through the foot-thick ice. Jonas rigged his line, laughing about how they'd be eating perch for weeks, while Lena sipped her coffee, her breath fogging in the dim glow of their lantern. The storm hit fast, a white wall of snow and ice that swallowed the shore from view. "We should head back," Lena said, unease creeping into her voice. Jonas waved her off. "5 more minutes. I've got a nibble." That's when the ice groaned a deep, resonant crack that wasn't just the wind. Lena froze, her eyes darting to the hole. The water beneath it rippled, though no line had moved. "Jonas, did you hear that?" she whispered. He smirked, peering into the hole. "Just the lake settling. Don't tell me you're scared of the old Frost Maw." He'd barely finished the sentence when the lantern flickered, casting wild shadows across the ice. Then came the eyes, 2 glowing blue orbs, rising slowly from the dark water below. Lena's scream caught in her throat as the ice shuddered again, louder this time. Jonas laughed nervously, leaning closer to the hole. "What the hell is—" His words cut off as the ice exploded upward, shards flying like shrapnel. From the jagged gap emerged the Frost Maw. It was massive, its eel-like body coiling beneath the surface, slick and black as oil. Its head was a nightmare, a gaping maw that split into 4 jagged sections, each lined with rows of translucent, needle-sharp teeth. Those glowing eyes locked onto them, unblinking, as the creature's segmented jaw quivered, letting out a low, guttural hum that vibrated through the ice. Jonas stumbled back, dropping his rod, but the Frost Maw was faster. One of its jaws snapped forward, clamping around his leg like a bear trap. He screamed a raw animal sound as it yanked him toward the hole. Lena lunged, grabbing his arms, her boots slipping on the ice. "Hold on," she yelled, pulling with everything she had. The creature's eyes narrowed, and its hum turned into a shriek that pierced the storm. Another jaw lashed out, grazing her arm, leaving a gash that burned with cold. Jonas's hand slipped from hers, his face a mask of terror as the Frost Maw dragged him under. The last thing she saw was his fishing rod, yanked down with him, the line snapping taut before it vanished into the black water. The ice sealed behind him, a thin crust forming as if nothing had happened. Lena collapsed, sobbing, her blood freezing on her sleeve. The storm raged on, but the hum was gone, and so was Jonas. She staggered back to shore, half dead from cold and shock, and collapsed at the edge of town. When the sheriff found her hours later, she could only mutter about eyes under the ice and 4 mouths. They chalked it up to hypothermia, a hallucination born of grief. Days later, a search team drilled into Lake Kennebec, where Lena had marked the spot. They found nothing, no body, no gear, except Jonas's fishing rod, frozen upright in the ice like a gravestone, its line trailing into depths the drill couldn't reach. Lena never fished again. She moved Mia away from Icefall, but she swears that on stormy nights she hears that hum, a low, relentless sound that follows her dreams, whispering her name through the wind. The old-timers in Icefall don't scoff at the Frost Maw anymore. When blizzards roll in, they lock their doors and stay off the lakes, leaving the ice to whatever lurks beneath. And if you're brave enough to drill a hole during a storm, they say, watch the water close. You might see those blue eyes staring back, waiting for the next fool to lean too near.